Welcome, dears. This is the 11th session of A Solitary Human Voice. In this session, we shall continue to analyze the opening testimony in Svetlana Alexievich's epoch making book, Voices from Chernobyl: The Oral History of a Nuclear Disaster. As we have already seen, the book records the testimonies of people affected by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster that took place on April 26th of 1986. A Solitary Human Voice is a testimony of Lyudmila Ignatenko. In the previous class, we discussed the portion where Lyudmila describes her romantic conversations with Vasily on the Victory Day. Lyudmila describes the bonding that the couple had for each other. In the last class, we also saw that Lyudmila could sense that Vasily was getting really bad. She also was taking count of the days left for each person. In the paragraphs that follow, we could see the deteriorating condition of the men. Lyudmila mentions the condition of Vasily as increasingly getting bad. She could not leave him alone for even a single second because Vasily needed great care. He used to cry out due to pain. Vasily could not sleep and kept crying out for Lyudmila. And this is one of the most painful situations mentioned in Lyudmila's testimony. Lyudmila continues to describe the general condition in the hospital. She says that instead of the orderlies, soldiers were cleaning the bedpans of the patients. This was because the orderlies had demanded protective clothing. As we have already mentioned in our early sessions, radioactivity causes unexplainable damages to the affected person, and that those affected people can result in spreading radioactivity to other people. If you remember, we had discussed the effects of radioactivity upon people in our earlier sessions. Lyudmila further describes how the soldiers were deployed to take care of the patients in the hospital at Moscow. The soldiers did all jobs done by orderlies. They cleaned the sanitary vessels, wiped the floors, and changed the bedding. Lyudmila and others wondered about them, but nobody asked about how the soldiers were appointed at the hospital. This is because each day one of the men from Pripyat were found to be dead. Lyudmila says, I quote, "Every day I would hear, 'Dead, dead. Tishchura is dead. Titnok is dead, dead.'" From Lyudmila's words, we understand the scary situation that people were in. Towards this section in the testimony, we readers are convinced about the fate of the men in the hospital at Moscow. We understand that they were greatly affected by the radiation blast at Chernobyl, and also that the bystanders and hospital authorities found themselves completely helpless. Then Lyudmila again describes the condition of Vasily and that it was getting degenerated every other day. The details that she provides are heartbreaking. She informs the readers that Vasily was producing stool 25 to 30 times per day. His stool contained blood and mucus as well. The skin over his arms and legs developed cracks, and he had boils all over his body. The hair from his head was dropping in large clumps. Even in such heartbreaking situation, Lyudmila tried to comfort him by passing jokes and said that it was easy for him now that he did not have to comb his hair. So she was just trying to make the situation lighter. Due to this abnormal hair fall, the hospital authorities got haircut for all the men. It was Lyudmila who did it for Vasily. Now, Lyudmila by this time was almost sure that the Vasily would not survive, and she wanted to do every possible thing for him. She wanted to spend every second of her life with Vasily. At this point in the testimony, there is a mention of a very long silence. We readers can imagine how difficult it would be for Lyudmila to narrate all those dreadful events when she had to see her beloved husband suffering great pain due to the severe side effects of being exposed to radiation. Lyudmila herself would have had to be prepared for a life without Vasily. Now, the pause mentioned at this point in the testimony tells us more than what her words did. Lyudmila remembers a fragment of a conversation that she had with someone at the hospital. Someone told Lyudmila that her husband was not her old husband anymore, but that he had become a radioactive object. The person also meant to make Lyudmila beware of the damages of being exposed to the harmful radiation. The person also told her not to be suicidal. From the words of the person, we also understand the situation of Lyudmila. We understand that she was doing something very dangerous, as also warned by the head radiologist, and also that she was not in her senses. Lyudmila was possessed only by her need to be near Vasily and to take care of him. It was a very, very, very disillusioning situation. Now, Lyudmila was so disturbed and sad by the situation of Vasily that she was behaving like someone who had lost their mind. She says that she used to keep saying, "I love you," as if she was chanting some prayer. Now, these descriptions inform us about both the condition of Vasily and the realization and desperation of Lyudmila on having understood that condition. Now, the testimony grows grave as Lyudmila provides more details about the events and her own tragedy. We shall discuss the remaining in the next class. Meanwhile, read the testimony. Thank you.